Okay, back to the Constitutional Convention Part 2. So, two of the plans were proposed regarding the expected federation. One of them was New Jersey plan, the other was Virginia plan. The New Jersey plan. It proposed to keep basics of Articles of Confederation as constant, and it proposed that there should be a unicameral Congress. Bigger or smaller doesn't matter, each state would have right of one vote. There was given power to tax and regulate trade, and judiciary will be appointed by the president, and the presidential committee will be appointed by Congress. So, what was the problem? The problem was very obvious. If there is going to be a weak presidential committee, the national or central government would remain weak. The basic purpose of calling the Constitutional Convention was okay, so what was the problem with this plan? Why it wasn't accepted? Well, the problem that were related to this plan were very obvious. The basic purpose of calling the Constitutional Convention was shifting United States of America from confederation to federation, where there would be a strong central government. Well, in New Jersey plan, the central or national government would have remained weak, and about the right of one vote for each state, small states liked the plan, the larger states hated it. It basically retained many of the problems that failed Articles of Confederation. Next is the Virginia plan. Virginia plan, or the large state plan, it proposed that a strong Congress would be formed. Contrary to the New Jersey plan, it proposed a bicameral legislation system, that there will be two chambers for as legislative. The lower chamber would be elected by the people, and the upper chamber would be elected by the lower chamber. President would be chosen by Congress, judiciary would be appointed by Congress, and representatives and legislative branch based on population of the state. Shifting to what was the problem with this plan? It seems quite nice. Well, the problem in this plan was representation of states that was based on the population of the states. Now, smaller states argued that they had lesser population and they will get lesser seats and won't be able to represent themselves effectively. Hence, the larger state will be dominating them. Larger states, on the other hand, argued that they had more population, so they will be more affected by every decision. Hence, they should be given more seats in order to neutralize the effect. Then is compromises, as it was considered that anyhow America has to be federated in order to attain stability. So compromises were made. First of all is the Connecticut Compromise, and it was proposed that there will be bicameral Congress, House of Representatives and House of Senate. It was also proposed in Virginia plan. Now the House of Representatives will be based on population and elected by people, and Senate, two members from each state elected by state legislatures. And all taxing and spending laws will start in the House of Representatives. Then is 3/5 compromise and compromise on commerce. 3/5 compromise is that there were slave population in United States of America. So it counted 3/5 of the enslaved population in deciding members in the House of Representatives and for taxation. You have to remember that it was said that representation of the states would be based upon their population. So it was the worst of the decision or compromise because it allowed the southern state to continue the slave trade for upcoming 20 years legally. Hence the slavery that was notorious, it was kept as a compromise in the convention that was being formatted in the name of freedom. There was no other choice because the southern state declined any further program in the matter without allowing of the slave trade. It was beneficial for them because every slave was considered the third of one single free person. It was the route to get more seats based on the population, and hence consequently it was compensation for small states with lesser population to retrieve their representation in the Congress. Then Commerce and Slave Trade Compromise. In return for federal power to regulate commerce, Congress cannot ban the slave trade until 1808, and exports cannot be taxed. For 20 years, talk on slavery was not possible. So here can you see what was the Great Compromise? There would be three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. Legislature was divided as House of Representatives and House of Senate. House of Representative, about that, seats would be based on population from the Virginia plan, and Senate 2 seats per state from the New Jersey plan. And last point to discuss is election. So different suggestions were given for the election of the president because I was the one who had to represent the whole of the federation. It was suggested that his duration should be life term, or he should be elected annually, or perhaps after every 4 years terms. So there was also debate on the method of election. Some wanted election by Congress, some wanted election by state legislatures, and some wanted direct election. So after a lot of debate, compromise were made that directed them to electoral college system. The electoral college system is still present in the current day America.